Welcome to another episode of DIY with Danny. We got a really exciting video for you today. We're going to be doing a USB charger on this outlet. We're going to be doing a cassette wireless that you can control from your phone. This is amazing technology. It's gotten a lot better, much easier to use. If you got one of these laying around your house, you're not going to need it anymore because you're just going to plug it right in. So we have this old outlet here. Dennis from D&E's Flip Tip did a little DIY himself. This is a his and hers outlet. We're going to take that out, replace it with this, and we're going to take this cassette switch, and we're going to control the lights from our cell phone. So let's get started. So we're loving these videos. We know you are too. Like that button, click subscribe, and keep watching. Also comment if there's anything you want to see. All right, so first step in electrical is check your power. How do you check your power? You don't take and lick your finger and stick your finger in there to see if you get shocked. Don't do that. Don't put a knife in there either. That's not a good idea. What you need is you need these two items. This is a tester that you can plug in. This is a tester that you can get close to the power and it'll tell you if there's power there. For this application, because we have an outlet, I'm gonna go ahead and test it out, see if we have power there. And as you can see, we have a green light which indicates there's power. So before you even do anything, you want to determine what breaker is on the panel that's going to shut this off. So let's go ahead and turn the power off at the panel. So this is one key that you should always know where your electrical panel is in the house, in case you got to shut it off automatically or there's a small little fire or something, you want to be able to turn the power off. So we have this labeled, so if your panel's not labeled, get it done. We have a GFCI dishwasher and stove, so we're going to go ahead and just shut these three off here, which these are the breakers that control that outlet. We're going to go back inside, make sure that green light's off. If it's off, that means we're good to go with changing out the outlet. All right, so you can see that we got our breakers turned off properly because there's no light there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we can pull this out. I'm going to show you how we're going to use this in a second. And then we're going to go ahead and take this apart and we're going to put this in for you guys. Okay, so just to plug it in, check, make sure there's no power, and then I'm going to take off this beautiful plate cover here, this his and hers. And then we'll get started. This is pretty easy. This is just a flathead screwdriver. Everybody probably has one in a kitchen drawer somewhere. Doesn't have to be in the kitchen drawer, but it could be in any drawer in the house. See if we can save this, put it on the new outlet. Let me go ahead and grab my screw gun here that I have ready to go. This just gets it done a little faster. Now, here's a trick that I like to do before I start sticking my hands in there. We have these two devices. This one sticks into the outlet. This one you turn on. As I pull this out, sometimes you might have a circuit inside this junction box that's going somewhere else. So you always want to take this one and stick it on the black wire. You can stick it on any wire, but stick it on the black wire because typically black is the hot wire. And if it doesn't beep, that means you're safe. Next step, pretty easy. I'm going to take this screw and unscrew it. When I'm changing an outlet out, I just unscrew the screw all the way to save time. Just let it fall off. You're not going to use this outlet. And also, anytime you're taking an outlet out, just throw it away. Because outlets are cheap. You don't need to try to use them in another application. Okay, so we have our old outlet out. We have our black wire, which is our hot wire. We have our white wire, which is considered our neutral. And we have our unsheathed wire, which is our ground wire, which is just called our copper bare wire. And as you can also see, we have only one wire coming in, which means this is at the end of the run, which means all we got to do is attach these to our new USB outlet and we're good to go. The next step, I'm going to show you how to install this. All right, so we're going to go ahead and unpack this. It's always fun opening stuff. It's like Christmas and Thanksgiving. All right, so we have two terminals. We have a hot side and a white side. So as you come in here, you can see on the back, this is really important. You have hot, which is always going to be your black wire, and then you have white, which is always going to be the neutral side, which is the white wire. And then you have the ground wire here, which is always green. So It's really important. This is the most critical step, that you make the connection of the black wire to the hot side and the white wire to the neutral side, which is also showing white here on the screen, and the ground obviously to the green, which is in alignment with the bare copper wire. So let's go ahead and put this in. All right, so you can see I've straightened out the wires here. These were curled when I had them on the other outlet. So this new device here has it to where you can just stab it in the back, and you just take your screwdriver and tighten it by hand. You don't have to over tighten it. I say this all the time. Just enough is good. All right, so we got the black one in. Now we want to verify. Obviously, there's only one slot left, so we're going to go ahead and stab this into the section for the white side. Perfect, like that. And we're going to take our screwdriver and go ahead and tighten it up. And tighten it up. And then we're going to take our ground screw. We're going to come on top here. And I like to have it pre-hooked like this. And then I loop it around. And I take our wire stripper and I crimp it down so it gets it nice and tight. Then I take the screwdriver and just tighten it by hand. Okay, so pretty easy. We got everything hooked up. Want to just double check the firmness of the wire, make sure it doesn't pull out. We have it white side, black side, and then we have our ground. We're going to get this orientation properly done, and we're going to push this in and tighten it back up and give this a little test to make sure it works. All right, so we're going to go ahead and push this wire in. Now there is a little bit of a trick to pushing the wire in. You want to create a fold in the Romex. So you're going to fold it to where it pushes in on itself. So you can see I have a fold coming up, down, and then as I push it in, the wires are going straight in on top of itself, which is great. That's what you want. So now I'm going to get this all the way in there, and then we'll get our screws that we took out from the previous, and we're going to just go ahead and put those in. Just get it close to where you need it to be. Perfect. And then I always like to get it as straight as possible. Then we take our cover plate. This is a his and hers, so make sure you have the right orientation there. We're going to take our flathead screwdriver and we're going to put our top screw in here. Then we're going to just go ahead and tighten up our bottom screw. Perfect. Now what I'll do for you guys is I'm going to go ahead and plug this guy back in here, and then I'm going to go to the panel and turn that on, and we're going to see if this light comes back on. All right, green is good. That means we got this all dialed in. Super excited, fast and easy. If you need a USB outlet in your kitchen, hey, just showed you how to do it. Next, we're going to move on to this Caseta wireless Bluetooth control from anywhere you are in the world, vacation, work, mess with your kids. But let's get on to that next. All right, so we have our location for our new Lutron Caseta switch. These are really hard to open, so be really careful. I took a razor blade and just sliced it. I don't know why they make these things so difficult. Also, we got to give it up for our Panda, giving us some assistance on the sunlight. Want to do some Panda Express today? Chinese? Let's do it. Orange chicken, can't beat it. All right, so let's go ahead and open this up, get orientated with our switch. And we also have some instructions here. If you're a real handyman or handy person, you don't need instructions, but just in case, you can open it up, take a look at it. We have more wires on this than we normally do on a regular switch. Our black wire and our red wire are really just the two wires that we're going to be using, and then we also have a ground wire. This blue wire, we're going to go ahead and just cap this off, and our neutral wire is going to connect to the neutral inside the box. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this off, and then we're going to use this tester here to test Once that beep goes off, that means there's not going to be any power. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take this cover off. All right, so we're just going to be taking these screws off. These are little guys. Can't tell you how many times I've lost them, and then you have to make a trip to the hardware store just for one little screw. So keep an eye on them. Little buggers will get in places that you'd be surprised. All right, so I'm going to take this cover off. This has a little bit of caulking on it. You want to be careful on tile. You don't want to chip anything. Just kind of scribe it a little bit. Do a little scribe on this side also. Kind of separates the caulking, and then it'll just peel right off. All right, so now that we have this open, we want to check to see if there's power in. Whoop, yep, there's power. This tester will test it if there's power in the area. You can see as I come out, as I start to come in, it starts testing the energy that's coming from the power circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the power off on this, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we have all of our wires pulled out, and we have our switch ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and wire up these, and we have our black wire going to the black side. Also, one thing when you do these wire nuts, you want to tighten them to where they're snug, but you don't want to over tighten them because they could break, and then you have to restrip the wire. Then we also have our red wire here. Going to make the connection on this one. That works out good. And you can see we have our white wire already ready to go. We're going to go ahead and make the connection to that. And then our ground wire, we have it in here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and make the connection on the ground wire. Grab another wire nut. And make the connection there. And get this wire nutted onto the ground. There we go. It's good to go. Now we do have an extra blue wire. We're going to go ahead and cap that, and then we're going to go ahead and push this all back in, and then we're going to go ahead and get our tester, make sure that the power's back on, and we'll be good to go. All right, so now that we got it all wired up, we're going to push this baby back in and get these screws in place. So we're going to just go ahead and get it lined up as close as possible. We'll get our screw here. Grab our other screw. Now, one of the steps that I like to do prior to putting the cover plate on is I'm going to go ahead and just turn the power back on and make sure that our tester is reading properly, that we have power. And then once I can identify that, then we'll go ahead and put our plate cover on. All right, so you can see we got power. We're good to go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put this cover plate back on. You can kind of get some adjustability in the two switches so that it gets it nice and flush. That you can play with a little bit. A lot of times when you put these screws on, it'll tend to pull themselves kind of in the position they need to be. I always try to get the screw going straight up and down in the proper elevation as well. There you go. You can see how that kind of gets itself lined up. And we'll put the two screws on this side and be good to go. We'll have a nice little upgrade to your property, upgrade to your business, whatever you choose. All right, so that went really well. We installed our USB outlet. We installed our Lutron cassette switch that's controlled from your phone. Super exciting project. Glad you were here, glad you watched. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Catch us on the next one.